Hi, I'm Tony. Welcome to my channel. If you want to make your news inserts look a bit more realistic, then you can create a news ticker, like this one. And that's what we'll be doing today in this video, using the Fusion page of Davinci Resolve. Okay, so here we are on the Edit page in Davinci Resolve. Let's set up our composition. So go up here to the Media pool, and then right-click in here and click on New Fusion Composition. I'm going to name this, I'll call it News Ticker. I'm going to change the duration here to 10 seconds, and I'll leave the frame rate at 25. Click on Create, and then let's grab this and drag it down to the timeline. And with our timeline indicator over the clip, let's click on the Fusion tab. Okay, so now we're in Fusion and we've got our media out, and we can start adding things to create our news ticker. So let's grab a background, add it to the flow, and we'll connect this up. That gives us a black background. Now we want to change the size of this, so add a mask, and then this mask we want to change things here on the right of the screen in the inspector window. Let's first change the width. So the width at the moment is 0.5, so it's taking half the screen. So if we change this to 1, then now it will go all across the screen. We will also change the Y value because we want to move it down. So I'm going to change this to 0.214, and let's just zoom out slightly so we can see everything. And then we want to adjust our height value here as well. So our height value, I'm going to add here 0.175. Okay, so that gives us our first box. Okay, and what we need to do now is I want to change this from solid color into a gradient. Okay, so click on our background and go up here where it says solid color and change it to gradient. And now that gives us this black and white gradient. Obviously we want to change that. So to change that, you've got two triangles on either end. So these are our gradient points. You can of course add more. You see there's a plus here, you can add more, but 2 is okay for what we want. So let's click on the left triangle, then click in the black box, and then I'll go to the hex value here, the hex color, and I'm going to type in a hex value here. So I'm going to type in 941,100, and that will give me a red on the left here. And then I'll go to the right triangle and again click in this box here, and I will add here 0312FF, and that will give us a blue. So that gives us the colors we want for our gradient. Okay, what I'm also going to do here is I'm going to name stuff, because when we've got a lot of things later on, if we need to move keyframes, then it can make things more complicated. If everything's called background 1 and 2, etc. So it's a good idea to name things as you're going along. So I'll call this gradient box, and I'll call this gradient box mask. Okay. All right, so we've got that, and now let's animate it. Okay, so to animate it, we're going to adjust the values here in the gradient, and we're going to animate them using this keyframe at the end here, this kind of diamond shape. So let's go to the beginning of our composition, and we will move here this triangle over to this side, so we have more blue and less red. Okay, add a keyframe, and then move to the end of our composition. And then I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to move this one back to the end, and then this one closer to this side. So now when we play it back, it sort of animates all the way through our news ticker. Okay. All right, so that's good. That's animated. So now we can make the second box. Okay, so to make the second box, we'll duplicate these two. So we'll do Command or Control C, and then Command or Control V to paste, and then we need to merge those in. So we'll take the output here from our box, our gradient box node, and drop it onto the output here. that creates a merge for us. Okay, and then let's rename these as well. So this one I'm going to call grey box, and then I'll rename this grey box mask. Okay. Now at the moment we've obviously got a gradient. We don't want a gradient. We want a solid color. So click on our grey box and change this gradient back to solid color. And then click in this box again here to change the color. And we'll go to the hex value and I'm going to type in D6D6D6. And if I've typed that correctly, yes, it gives us a grey color. Okay. So now we want to move that grey color down so we can see both of these together. So click on our grey box mask and we will change again these values here in the inspector. Okay, so we will change here our height to 0.076. Okay, and then we'll change our center Y value here to 0.087, and that then brings it down here. Okay, so we've got our two boxes, one of which is animated, the other is just a solid color. Okay, so now we can create our logo and our main text here. So grab a text node, drag it here into the flow and merge it in. And then here we will type the word news. And I will change the font here. In fact, no, we'll leave it to Open Sans bold. I'll change the size to 0.1272, and we need it to go down here, yeah, somewhere down here roughly. We'll kind of eyeball it round about there, looks okay. And then we can add our globe, our spinning globe. So to do that, go up to the media pool and there's a file here called globe icon. So drag that into the flow, merge that in as well. Now, as you see, it's too big and it's the wrong color. We want it white and we want it a lot smaller. So we need to add a couple of things after this media in here, this globe. So let's rename this as well, globe. And we'll rename this news text. Okay. And after the globe, we'll come over here and we'll add a color corrector. So when you come over to this toolbar and hover over one of these tools, you can see what it is. So in this case, we're going to drag in a color corrector. Okay. And let's connect this color corrector. So connect these up. And then after the color corrector, I want to add a transform. So I'll just have my color corrector selected, click on transform, and then let's join this one up as well. So now we have the globe and then a color corrector and then a transform. Okay, so go to the color corrector, and to make this white, we go to the gain here and put it all the way up to 5. That will then make it white. And then go to our transform here, and we will change the values here, like the size and the position. Okay, so size wise here, and now I've written down the size I want. So let's have 0.09, and then let's just kind of put it where we think it should go, somewhere down here. And then we might need to move some other things. So maybe I'll move my news text over a little bit as well. Okay, I think that's fine. And then let's animate this this news kind of globe here. So I'm going to call this globe animation. And oops, can't spell today. Globe animation, and go to frame 1, and we will animate the angle value. So let's add a keyframe on frame 1 in the angle value. So click here to add a keyframe, and then go to the end of our composition, and I'm going to change this angle value here to -500. And now if we go back and look at it, it will animate all the way through. So now we've got the globe animating, and we've also got the gradient animating. Okay, good. So I'm happy with that. Now we need to add our around the world text here, our main story, and then our 2 boxes here, and then our kind of ticker tape at the bottom. So let's add our around the world. So again, grab a text node and merge it in, and click on the text, and then we'll type in here around the world. We want to change here the color. Let's change the color to black, and then we'll change the size as well. So let's drag the size down. It's going to go down here, so we'll get the size kind of so it sits just underneath, so a bit smaller, and I'm going to change this to semi-bold as well. So let's drag this down, maybe slightly bigger, something like that. Okay, so it sits underneath here. All right, good, I'm happy with that. Now let's add our main story text. Okay, so this one here I'm just going to call around the world. And then we'll add our main story. So again, grab a text node, bring it into the flow. Let's move that media out over there to get some more room. Merge this text node in. I'll rename it. I'll call this main story. And then I'm going to type in here, US couple adopt 50 cats, because why not? And again, let's use semi-bold, and we want to bring this then down here. Okay, I'll make it a little bit smaller, something like that. Okay, that's fine. Now I'm going to create 2 boxes here. I'm going to create one on the left, and then I'm going to duplicate it over to the right. And these will be our kind of live and our clock. So add a background and merge the background in. Add a mask to the background by clicking here on the rectangle. And we will name these. So I'll call this one live box. And I'm going to call this one live box mask. And then we need to change the sizing of these boxes here so that we can then position them where we want them. So we'll change the color. I'm going to use the same color as I did for this this bit here, this gray. So click on live box, go up here to the color, and click on the second tab and go into the hex color box, and I will add my hex color, which is the same as before, so it's D6D 6D6, and click on OK, and that gives us the color. And then click on live box mask, and we're going to move it over to the left, and we're going to make it smaller. So let's change our center X value here to 0.059, and we'll change our center Y value to 0.3275, and then we're going to change our height here and our width. So we'll make our width 0.12, and we'll make our height 0.055. Okay, good. So that's now created our box and put it where we want. Okay, so again, I've just changed the values here in the inspector to manipulate the size here of the mask, which allows me then to make the background the size and shape that I want it. Okay, now we can create a box again on the right. So what we can do is just duplicate these 2. So drag over these and copy and paste just here. Merge this one in, and I'm going to call this clock box. And then I'll call this clock box mask. And then what we want to do is change our center X value so we can put it over on the right. So with our mask selected, we can come here to these 2 kind of arrows here. One arrow points upwards, that's the Y-axis. One points left to right, that's the one we want, the X-axis. So clicking on this, we can drag it over to this side. Now I'm going to actually input the value here of 0.94 to bring it over here where I want it. So now we've got our two boxes. We can add some text into those boxes. So grab a text node and we'll create our live text first, merge that in, and we'll change this to live text. And then we'll write in here, live. And I'm going to change this to semi-bold. And because we've got white on grey, we don't want that. So I'll change the color here to black. And then we want to bring it down here. So I also want to adjust the sizing of this until I get it roughly how I think it looks good. So maybe a little bit smaller, something like that. Okay, that's not too bad. And then we will duplicate this for the other side. So let's go over here so we can see what we're doing. Again, copy and paste this one and rename it. We'll call it clock text. Click on OK, merge this one in, and select our clock text. And again, we're going to move this over on the x-axis. So grab this handle here and move it over to here. And then let's add a time in here. I don't know, what can we add in here? 10:25 or something like that. Okay, so that's our clock. Let's just make sure that it's in the center here, something like this. Okay, now we want to add our dot. So to add our dot, we're going to add a background, and then this time we'll add an ellipse mask to this background. So drag in a background, merge that in. To this background, add an ellipse mask by clicking here, and you'll see it says ellipse. Click on that. Now we need to adjust our sizing again and our color. So let's click here and say ellipse. Oops, if I can spell ellipse, something like that. And we'll leave this one as ellipse mask. Okay, so now click on ellipse and we'll change the color again over here. So we want a red color. We may as well use the same red color that we had before. So click on the second tab, go to the hex color box, and we will type in 941-100. Click OK. So now we have our red dot, but obviously it's too big. So click on our mask, and then we can reduce our size here, so our width and our height. And what we can do here, because we could just do this, yeah, but it's annoying to do this. So what we can do is use an expression. So if we right click here and go to expression, and then we take this plus symbol and we drag it into width. Now when we change the width value, then the height value will move the same. Okay, so I'm going to zoom right in here, and then we will grab it. Let's grab it first, drag it over here, and that's probably a bit too big, so let's just reduce that up a little bit, something like that, and position it roughly where we think it should go. Okay, good. So that gives us our live red dot. So the last thing we need to do is to create our ticker tape text, our kind of scrolling text. So to do that, we will add another text node, and let's merge this text node in. And then we can write here. Now I've actually written out something, so I'm going to paste it in here. Okay, there's my text. Now let's change a few things. I'm going to make this one regular, and I need to size this down quite a lot as well. And let's grab it and let's bring it down here, because this is where we want it. Okay, not too bad. So maybe the size, I'll do 2.33, and we need to change the color. So I'm going to change the color here to black. Okay, so I'll just go on these pencils and click on black. Okay, so I'm happy with that. Now we're going to animate it. So if we go to the beginning here, and we'll animate this layout tab, X value here, center X. So let's move this over here and then add a keyframe by clicking here. And let's go to the end, and then let's move this text over this way, something like this maybe, and then let's play it back and see what it looks like. Okay, I think it looks okay. Speed-wise, it's not too bad, but you can see we have a problem, and the problem is it's going behind the around the world. So what we need to do here is to mask the text. So we do that by adding a mask to our text node. So click again on this rectangular mask, and now you see that when we move this rectangular mask around, the text, if I go forward a bit, the text is only visible within this mask. So if we come over here again to the inspector, we can increase this width value, and then we can decide where we want it. So maybe somewhere like that. So now our text comes in not directly on the edge, but slightly inwards, and it goes out in the same way. So it sort of goes out behind this around the world text like that. Okay, and I'll also rename these. I'll call this scrolling text. And I'll call this scrolling text mask. Okay, and that's it. We're finished. So what we can do now is go back to the Edit tab. Okay, I want to add a clip to this. So let's move this one up. Go to the media pool, and we'll drag in this news footage clip. And I'm just going to drop the audio and close the media pool. And now we can play this back, and we can see what it looks like over the top of some footage. So you can imagine here I'm talking about a US couple adopting 50 cats. So a very interesting news story. So in this tutorial, we've animated our globe, we've animated our ticker text across the bottom of the screen, and we've also animated our gradient. Okay, I hope this was useful for you in some way. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.